Good evening, friends. Welcome to another edition of Kumar Bala's Tryst with Wisdom. Today's topic is it's nice to be important, but more important to be nice. And it is a normal, common quality among the most eminent and the greatest of our age that they are very simple. They do not have to have heirs. They do what they go about with their business because they have turned the lives of thousands, in fact, lakhs over the years of the 50, 60 years that they have been in industry and otherwise or in philanthropy. If we take the case of the simplest man of all time, we have to remember the father of the nation. He never knew anything except simplicity and made it a virtue and pushed everybody to it. He did not expect anything from anybody and lived the most frugally and a life of all. I've seen that as we go up, especially in the corporate ladder, it's always those who have something to worry about or those who have to show that they are better than the other. They are the people who are most vulnerable and always at loggerheads with themselves and with the colleagues. We find that always those who are the best in their business, they keep it simple and straight. If you look at the case of all the greatest sportsmen, the greatest businessmen, all of them just follow the straightforward path to simplicity. Along the way, they may not be able to follow what's happening, but they themselves are very, very clear. To enumerate my point, I will take the example, three examples of perhaps the greatest philanthropist his company and his surname has, the founder of whom gave 1/3 of all his assets to the building of the Indian Institute of Science. The next one started the airline, the Air India, and finally the one whom we are blessed to have amongst us for so many years in various forms shows the way of how to be simple, straightforward, and get the best out of anything as far as business is concerned. He would be hard, he would be straightforward, but deadly honest. Typical of him, I will give you the examples. His most senior team, were traveling in a single expensive van from Bombay to Lonavala. On the way, there was a problem with the car, and the driver had to stop and see what was wrong and try to rectify it. So, because the big wigs of the company were there, the other three who were with him, they sort of sauntered off and tried to do whatever people usually do: find some small snack shop, or pick up a few wildflowers, or generally wait for things to happen so that they can get back to Earth and continue the journey. After a while, the driver called the other three and said, "Come, sir, the car is ready and we can go forward." Then they suddenly realized that the boss was not there. So they asked the driver, "Where is the boss?" And then a little distance away, the boss was washing his hands in a small stream. And then the driver told the three of them that he was helping me in rectifying the car, and the Sahab knows so much about the car that's why we could finish it so fast. A major problem has been solved within an hour, and we are back on the same journey. So he did not, though he could have ordered another car or made a grand fuss, the blood of Ratan Tata and the Tata blood ensured that he would help his companion and the person who their lives are depend on the driver, and ensure that he would be able to go safely. Another typical example of the great man was that he had some work on a Sunday afternoon. So he came away from his house and came to Tata House in Bombay. It's a small road, and in front of Tata House, so he parked. There was hardly a couple of cars, maybe which had stayed overnight. So he parked the car and was going to go in. A lonely cop was there who suddenly decided that he needed some fun. So he came and asked him why was he parking the car here when he could have parked the car further down the road where all the Tata executives parked their cars. Mr. Tata explained to him that he was in a hurry and he needed only about 15 minutes to finish what he had to, and then he would leave, and there was nobody on the road. The insolent cop decided to take things in his hand and told Mr. Tata, "Is this your father's road? I am telling you to take the car out, and you decide to tell me what is to be done." Mr. Tata looked at him and smiled. He said, "You think I should take the car out from this road because I think that this is my father's road?" The man said, "So what about it?" So he said, "You please come with me." So the insolent cop suddenly decided, okay, let's see what this old man dressed in a ordinary bush shirt with loose-fitting trousers, a typical Babaji, was going into the Tata house, and he followed him. As he went in, he saw the bust of Mr. Tata's father and pointed. He said, "Yeah, this is my father, and the road is named after him." By the time a couple of executives had also showed up, and Mr. Tata bore no animosity, smiled at the man, tapped him on his back, and asked the officials to give him a good cup of tea and snacks before sending him on his way. Mr. Tata has, in another banner, always shown his concern for animals. In fact, in the side of the famous Taj Mahal Hotel, there is a place where stray dogs are fed every day, and they can stay the night in a closed place without any fear of being chased around. The other day also, he decided that he would go forward and help the people who were suffering after the famous or infamous hotel attack. He had gone to the hotel around 8 o'clock, and while going to his chambers, he heard a small commotion and looked over and found that the main hall was occupied by about 30 senior suited people, and he watched what was going on. And to his dismay, he found a couple of well-dressed Taj employees were explaining and trying to reason with the guests, but the guests, a chief of them, was screaming and trying to point out who he was and what all he could do and who all he knew in the Tata group. And after a while, the lady and the two gentlemen were absolutely distressed, and then he said, "Okay, I have to want to go, but I have to call my superiors since I have spent more than 45 minutes talking with you." In the meanwhile, Mr. Tata, who was standing behind the door and watching what was happening, came in, and along with him there was a group of security and senior officials. He asked the top official of that company, "I cannot afford you any hospitality today because of the way you have behaved with my staff. Any staff of Tata's is as important as me, and any word you say to my staff member is what you are telling me. So I cannot host you at any cost tonight. Kindly leave in a manner which is appropriate for you, so that at least these people's self respect are taken care of. That is the way people work, and that is the principles people have. We all know the case of our former President Kalam. He never ever wondered who he was, what he was. He always remembered the days of the how he used to throw newspapers and go around before going to school. They remember the very roots where they belong, and that is how these people have become so great that they have touched the top echelons of our Indian society. We rather wish and we should understand that this is the way it should be, and we should not fall prey to false vanity. In fact, over my years in industry, we have seen people who try to show how important they are. It's not, after all, the way you show or way you behave or how rude you can be to various people, but what you can get out of them and what you can give back to the company who has invested so much money in you. That is the crux of the entire aspect, and I'm sure that all of us will have seen this happening in various forms wherever we work or wherever we exist on day-to-day basis. Anywhere we see that anyone who can throw his weight does it with aplomb, and the person whom they think cannot react or proact would be embarrassed, and they enjoy the embarrassment. I was once told by my guru that it's very easy for you to shout at him, but imagine that if he turned around and gave you a slap, or he spoke even worse rudely to you, then where would you be? You will have to answer the management. They don't have to answer anybody. The union can take care of them. They are ignorant, but don't take advantage of their ignorance, because they have more self-respect and more enthusiasm and are given more to the company than those who come and go every 4 or 5 years. That was a very bitter lesson which I learned, and the fact that when we are in wherever we work, we have to ensure that we have the self-respect of the people who are so-called down the run compared to us, and we always keep everything simple and straightforward. So that is the lesson for the day. It is not important to show. It's not the importance that you show or how you brag or how you take yourself, but how you deliver along with the people whom you work without stamping their corns. With that, I think I take your leave, and we'll come back for the next session to the next day, that is tomorrow. So good luck to all of you, and kindly do remember this when we deal with anybody whom we feel are important, and we should do the same.